And my bottom line feeling is, if you're going to tell the truth, tell the whole truth.
So what
Don't
about
tell what part just make you look good. If you were sitting there smoking crack, talking about you're minding your own business, sitting on a bed in a hotel with a naked man smoking crack. Come on, anybody who's ever smoked crack knows that people get freaky on crack or almost any kind of drug that alters their mind. Anybody that smokes crack and drugs know that. So why would you be sitting in a man's room and he goes takes a shower, which means he's naked? Now, no means no. If she said no, she should have got her big man-sized ass up and ran out that room.
Loving you is like flowing water, baby. You give me the strength through the fire, baby. I'm gonna be your
9695. Is this you, Lynn?
It is Lynn.
Good evening. Are you in California? Good evening.
Good evening.
Turn us down in the back, just so it doesn't sound like an echo. Sorry.
Did I turn that down?
Yeah, just turn it down. No, turn it down in the back so then it won't be too loud.
Okay.
How are you?
Well.
So what's the tea, girl?
Baby, did I ever think this man would come back to haunt my life? I mean, this is a trip, being in the middle of a scandal, isn't it?
Right. So did you actually get to see the documentary, or are you just reading the blogs, or did you get the film early?
No, unfortunately, I haven't read the book or seen the documentary yet. I just started getting calls from the media wanting my side of the story. And so I was getting bits and pieces. And when I read, I'm a rape victim.
Okay.
So I am very compassionate for any woman that was violently taken.
Okay.
Do I know my husband is that person? No. Obviously, this happened before we were married, but we did have one child before we were married, and then we had two more. So the paper is not really publishing everything that I wrote, but of course I would ask, why now? Of course, because if you held something in for 30, I can't question another woman why she's just now telling it. But as a rape survivor, I know that it's very difficult and you have to come out in your own time. But Wendy Williams has a platform where she talks about people every day. She wrote in the article that she always exposes her vulnerability. So my question was, why now? Why did you hold it in for 35, 40 years?
Well, what are we asking though? Why did she hold the name? Why did she hold the name? Because this book is very old. This book came out in the 90s, and she talks about it vigilantly, like clearly in this book. She just didn't say his name.
Yeah, right. She didn't say his name, but she's saying his name now, and he's not here to defend himself. And so my only issue really with Wendy is that she mentioned our children. You don't come after somebody's children, she said, because they had nothing to do with it. If you're sitting in a hotel room smoking crack and a man gets naked, what has his children got to do with that? Why would she say his children's children have to deal with it? I feel totally disrespected by that comment. She should have never came after my children, because I have amazing children, amazing, wonderful, fabulous children, and my life has gone on also. So to be mixed up in this and people coming after me because I said, why now? You know, whenever there's a scandal, you have questions. And, you know, the press takes what they want and puts it out there. I told them I was very compassionate for anyone. I said no means no. But as I taught my daughters, you do not put yourself in certain situations. If you're like when Mike Tyson Why was that woman you're in a grown man's room at 2:00 in the morning? No means no. But
now, see, I didn't hear that they were smoking
to
crack. I heard that they were drinking, and he kind of got her really, really drunk, and then got on top of her and raped her, and wanted to just kind of forcefully, have sex with her with no condom, no nothing. And then she was actually so afraid that she allegedly went and got, well, this is which according to her, she went and got an STD test, HIV test, because she thought that she may have had AIDS from this guy. That she had just did an interview with him. He was, and he invited her back to the hotel room. They were going to go out on the town, and then he got her drunk and raped her. How does that feel to hear that about your husband?
It's horrible. It's shocking. And that was before we were married. She said it was in her 20s. That was before. Well, he never acted like that toward me.
How long were you guys married?
We were married for 6 years. We didn't marry until our third child, so in 93, and our son was born in 94. We had 2 children already. But because he was an aspiring singer, she dated a lot of Hollywood women.
Mm-hmm.
Because he was the commodity at that time. I mean, look at him. He was 6'6". He was charming. He was intelligent, and he has a beautiful voice. Anybody can look up his videos. Yes, it was a long time ago, but
how did he die? Was he a drug addict? A lot of people were saying that he was into drugs too. I didn't know that. I'm just hearing this now that there was drugs that he died from. Is that true?
Yes, he had a drug problem, and that's why I don't believe her. When she know on the article it said they were doing cocaine. They weren't doing cocaine. They were smoking crack.
Okay.
And that makes me feel like that's why she didn't go to the police, is because she didn't, like, if somebody jumped on me and I'm in a hotel, I would scream so that people could hear me, and I could run out the room and tell the concierge. I wouldn't just go home and wash my pussy and think it's okay. But now every woman is different. And I know it's a hard thing to deal with. It's traumatic. I am a survivor, and I get it. If it happened and it's her truth and this helps her heal, then let the healing begin. So now you hear the real story. That's why I had to call in, because this is.
So where do you go from here, though?
Children.
Where do you? Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Where do you go from here, and how is this affecting you and your kids? And how old are your kids right now?
Well, that's what I'm saying. My children are very active. I wouldn't even know about this, but I'm a filmmaker. My daughter's an actress and a filmmaker also. My other daughter's an artist. My son is a regular dude. Like, his father died when he was 3.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay, so it's kind of playing in the background after I talk. So I'm not hearing it, but I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you from my heart. I'm talking live. I'm talking as a survivor. I'm talking as a wife. I'm talking as a widow. I'm talking as a mother. I'm talking as a grandmother. So when I read the article that she said his children's children have to deal with this,
yeah.
I'm maybe so she felt by that.
But maybe she felt like, listen, you took up my innocence. You took the innocence from me. So that is something that your children will have to deal with. That your dad, your grandfather, your great grandfather was a freak in her mind, in her eyes. Like, is it wrong for her to feel that way if somebody came and took advantage of her?
No, I can't discount her feelings, because her feelings are her feelings. But nobody should come after me because I say, why now? Because I have questions, because I want to get to the truth of it. And my bottom line feeling is, if you're going to tell the truth, tell the whole truth.
So what
Don't
about...
tell what part just make you look good. If you were sitting there smoking crack, you're minding your own business, sitting on a bed in a hotel with a naked man smoking crack. Come on. Anybody who's ever smoked crack knows that people get freaky on crack or almost any kind of drug that alters their mind. Anybody that smokes crack and drugs know that. So why would you be sitting in a man's room and he goes takes a shower, which means he's naked? Now, no means no. If she said no, she should have got her big man-sized ass up and ran out that room. She was big enough to hit him or pick up a lamp or do something. Now, she might have been scared to death. She might have been frozen. She might have been scared to death. I get it. But see, I'm looking at all sides, not just one side. I feel like she's a big woman. She could have tried to protect herself. He didn't have a weapon. Did she mention he had a weapon?
No. Okay, so the scene I saw, it was like they were in the hotel room. He got in the shower. He was naked. She was sitting on the bed drinking liquor. Then he got on top of her and, commenced to, take her panties off and got on top of her. And he was like, he started talking to her. She was like, I thought we were going out. And he started saying, well, no, I thought you were old enough and ready. You could handle this. And then he just started, he inserted himself inside of her.
Well, if that's her truth, I can't say anything because that's between her and God. But I feel like as a woman, sometimes we can fight, sometimes we can run, and oftentimes women lay there and take it, and it's unfortunate.
So it sounds like you feel like Wendy Williams was engaging in the drugs and she's not being truthful with that because your husband's history and you know that she has a history. And I do believe that she was honestly, because you'll see some things in the documentary and I don't want to give it all away, but I don't think she's steering away from the crack. She's not steering away from smoking cocaine or crack. She's not steering away from that. But that wasn't in that particular scene. But you say that you believe that she was smoking the crack and she does not want to be truthful with that. Have you talked to Wendy Williams or anybody from her team?
Nope, they haven't reached out to me. I haven't talked to them, but I know my husband wasn't a drinker. He was a crack addict. When he was on crack, that's what he was doing. And I know that,
So why do you think that she would say liquor? Why do you think that she would say drunk instead of the crack?
Because in the article that I read, it says she was doing cocaine and that she was familiar with it already, so she joined into the partying. But I know that he didn't sniff cocaine, he smoked it. That was his demon. That was his demon, and I know, so she can't convince me otherwise.
And you're saying basically like, girl, when you get high, people get friendly. So you're saying that she could have just been as much as into it as he was, because if they're getting high, then who knows what happened?
That's what I'm saying. Nobody knows what happens behind closed doors. And when you're high, obviously she was enamored by him because he was a charmer. He's good looking. He was highly intelligent. So you could sit down and have a conversation with him about any topic on earth. He was just a brilliant guy, and then his voice was so amazing. And we all have demons. Can't nobody throw a stone, because all of us make mistakes. But in that era of time was, women, I just feel like she had a platform to speak up before now, because she talked about people and their drama and their trauma, but she didn't reveal her own trauma before he died. Okay, so now
what do you say to the people that in the chat? We have about 2,000 people listening actively right now, and they're saying that you are victim shaming and protecting abusers. What do you say to that?
Well, they say I'm protecting him.
They said, okay, someone
it's going by so fast.
She just proved someone says she just proved her point. Victim shaming and protecting abusers.
I'm not how am I protecting him? I'm protecting my children.
Okay.
So how am I protecting him? What I said was they were in the room smoking crack, and nobody knows what happened. And if that's her story and her truth, she has the right to tell it. Yes, people are going to question it. Like when Bill Cosby came out, why would people say it after 30 years? People question that. Like, why now? Of course I ask why now, because my children are grown. My youngest son is 26. And
he's going to see this. And this is going to come out.
Go ahead.
Yes,
The family is calling me crying. They're in tears. They're angry, wondering why she would make this accusation after he's dead. So it's not just me. His entire family is affected. So they need to stop with bye, Felicia, and they need to see all sides. Bye, you're dismissed. I mean, people can be mean or whatever, but I'm going to speak my truth. My truth is she shouldn't have never mentioned my children. Now, if they think that's protecting her, when I think if you're going to tell the truth, tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth, that's how I feel as a religious woman and a survivor.
Mm-hmm.
That I went to the police. When I was raped, I went to the police. I had to go through the humiliation of being tested, them taking semen, them asking me questions like, what did you have on? Where were you? And why? How did you meet him? And what happened? And you go through a series of degrading questions.
Mm.
So, no, my children shouldn't have to go through this, and her to be so careless to think that it wouldn't affect them and affect our family.
But let me ask you this.
Because
but
what
let me
happened
ask
to
you
you
this.
before I knew what happened to you, you know, is very sad. I would not wish it on anybody. I'm not victim shaming, as your little friends wants to say on here. Okay, it's going so
No,
fast.
I understand that you're being a mother, right? I understand that you're at a point where you're like, well, this stuff, because you're thinking you have this huge celebrity coming out with a documentary that's going to hit millions of people in less than like 7 days. You know what I mean? And your husband's name is already out there. So this is going to go be viral news. It's going to hit all over the world, and people are going to be looking at you, calling you, blowing you up. And your children are going to have to deal with the idea that, you know, their dad is allegedly a rapist. That's just going to be what it is. And you were married to an alleged rapist. That will be the conversation, and that will be the stigma that is attached to you. So I understand where you're like, whoa, this is a lot. However, I want to say she did not name him for a long time. So now that there's a name to it, I think that that's what's triggering you, because you're like, well, shit, this is my husband. So I understand where you're at, but can we discount her feelings in that? Even if she said, I wish he would die and he loses all of his money and forget him and his kids and everything, is that not her truth to live or to say? I'm just playing devil's advocate. You got to think, if somebody did that to your daughter or you, like, is that not your truth to be able to say, you know, fuck them and everything that they stand for, from their kids to their family life to everything on down? Like, is that not their truth, or is that not right?
You know, like I said, your callers are really mean, some of them, but he's dead.
Yes.
Yes, I agree. It's her truth. But one of my points is, if she had revealed this 30 years ago,
mm-hmm.
she might have saved other women. She might have saved me from marrying him. If I known he was an alleged rapist, you know what I'm saying? She would have eliminated a whole lot of stuff. She had a platform to tell this a long time ago. When she first met him, she was interviewing him. To me, this would have been the biggest story of her life if she told it right away. No, I can't tell her. When I was a victim, it took me a long time to come out. It didn't take 40 years, though. It took a year. Yes, every woman is different, but it is a release to tell it. It is a release, something she's been holding in for 40 years. Well, actually, I don't know when her book came out, but like you said, she told it but never revealed her name. Why are they getting saying victim shaming? I've been through this. I'm telling my truth now. Just because she's famous, her truth is better than my truth?
I understand where you at. And I understand where you at.
There's more sides to a story than what you're hearing. So if you want to just believe one side of the story, remember, there's your side, my side, and the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Now, eat on that, chomp on that, drink that tea right there.
Well, I also understand that it's hard for you, the non-famous one, You know, right? When she has millions and millions and millions of fans and people that are going to believe her because they like who she is. And then you're going to come out and say whatever you say. People are going to be like, well, no, I don't believe you. You're victim shaming, this, that, and the third. So I understand that it puts you in a very tight spot because, you know, that was your husband and you did love him. And that's a part of his life that you may not have known. And you do have children with him, which makes it even more harmful. However, woman to woman in that situation, do you feel as though a lot of women protect men and men don't take you guys into the same kind of consideration as you all do them?
Probably yes. Probably yes. Same thing with Bill Cosby. A lot of women, you know, were like, why did they take so long? Why didn't they say it? But you don't know what's going on the inside of a woman to you know, and my only question is because she had the platform, why did she hold it in so long? And I can't question her, I can't judge her, but I'm just sharing my feelings. You guys can't be mad because I have feelings too. I'm a mother and these are my children. If she never mentioned my children, if the press hadn't called me, I would have nothing to do with this. I would have nothing to do with it. I have compassion for any woman who has been taken advantage of. So I side with the woman, but I do question women's motives. And I
like that.
Question, like I said, when it happened to Mike Tyson, I told my daughters, no means no. But I beg you not to put yourself in certain situations where a man can take advantage of you. And if you're don't know, I'm going to tell you now. Do not go up to a man's hotel room at 2 in the morning, 1 in the morning. It's a bedroom. Hotel room is a bedroom. And if you are not there to have sex with him, you really should not be in a man's bedroom. You should be in somewhere open in the public or somewhere where you can protect yourself because people take advantage of women. And you know, it's just like what we're going through right now, like the world.
Hold on, with that point, I agree with you, but again, as a woman, I mean as a man listening to you speak, I feel like it almost is saying if a woman did decide to go to a bedroom at that point, it's almost her fault if she ends up getting raped, instead of saying a man should not be carrying himself that way. Like, just because she goes there does not mean that she should be raped. And if she gets raped, then that was her fault for going there at that time. She should have known, you know? That's kind of how.
No, you know. I hear you, and thank you for saying that. But my whole intention, I am not on the man's side. He is wrong. If he does something and a woman says no means no, I'm going to keep repeating that. No means no. If you don't want to have sex, then no means no. But women have to protect themselves because you don't know what you're getting involved with. You don't know what you're getting involved with when you put yourself in those situations. Wendy could have very well said, meet me downstairs in the lobby. I'm just telling women that there's ways to avoid. There's ways and there's not ways. Some ways you can never detect it. You can never know sometimes that a man is that way or that a man is going to take advantage of you. But there are ways that women can also try to protect themselves so that they're not in a situation. So if people want to take that and flip it like I'm taking up for the man, that's not what I'm doing. I had to train my daughters not to be in those kind of situations and to follow their instinct and their intuition. If something doesn't feel right in the gut of your stomach, you need to get the heck out. Leave. You need to leave.
Yeah.
And maybe somebody is not telling women this. Maybe you think I'm standing up for a man, but I'm telling you to stand up for yourself. If you don't stand up for yourself, who's going to stand up for you? So you can look at what I'm saying negatively or positively, but I'm telling you, I tell my children, if nobody ever told you, I'm telling you, there's situations that when I was raped, I was walking down the street leaving work, 15 years old, walking down the street, walking down the street and somebody snatched me with a gun. Okay, I didn't put myself in a situation. But when I was young, you know, we was wearing hot pants. We were hanging out, and the guys used to say, "You guys be careful. You guys be careful." We always had warnings. There's warning signs. And so what I'm saying to all the women out there, stand up for yourself. Don't put yourself in situations where somebody can take advantage of you. If you're not chaperoned, if there's nobody else in the room with you, if you didn't go up there with a girlfriend, you know what I'm saying? If you follow your gut and get out, scream, holler, protect the next woman if you can't protect yourself. Scream. Try to get out of the situation. But I'm telling you, if you follow your intuition and listen to your gut, it's going to get you out of there.
Okay.
And that's my belief, and I'm sticking with it. And thank
so
you for being so...
Well, before I let you go, how do I say your husband's name? Or ex-husband? Sherrick. Okay, because I was butchering the name. Sherrick. It's not Sherrick.
It was Sherrick.
Okay.
And I'm very compassionate for Wendy. I feel bad that she's held this in so long, because when you hold that kind of thing in, it causes a cancer in your stomach. And women need to open up. Now, we're not living in the old days anymore where we had to hold it in. We have to let it out. So I'm not.
Well, here's what I'll say. You're going to be triggered probably for the next month and a half because it hasn't even hit the media. So if at any point, once the documentary hits, if you want to come on here and we can reach, because you haven't seen anything yet. So once I've seen it.
No,
once you see it,
yet.
I'm going to come back and talk about it. So you'll feel free to call in again. And then I want to know what you think once you've seen it.
Okay.
If you feel like you want to talk about it. You know what I mean? You may not want to, or you might, whatever. But if you do, we're here to chat.
Well, thank you. I truly appreciate that. And I just hope that people understand that she shouldn't have mentioned our children. Like, I'm offended by it. And I don't think that children have anything to do with the decision or a mistake that a grown man made 40 years ago is not my children's mistake. It's not. It has nothing to do with the man and his demons. My children have nothing to do with that, and I don't want them to tarnish their names. And by them knowing or that their father was an alleged rapist, how does that help them? Because my main point with raising my children was I never wanted them to do drugs because I knew he had a drug problem. And so my point was, are they going to be strong like me or weak like him? Because some people have done drugs and have gone on to have amazing lives and got off and straightened their lives up. And some people end up dead like he did.
So exactly did he die? Like, okay, so before we get to that, was he was he a big pop? Like, was he a real big R&B guy of the time? Like, was he a big deal?
Yes. He was a big deal. I mean,
and he never tried to assault you, huh?
No.
You met him and it was everything. He was nice. When he met you, he just took you out for dinner and this, that, and everything was great.
Yes.
And he died while you were in a relationship with him.
Yes.
Wow. And so you don't do drugs, do you?
No.
So how could you be with he was clearly like, how did that work? You were with a crack user, like a heavy crack user, which ultimately took his life. So was he sneaking the crack, or how did that happen?
Well, when he would go on what they called a binge,
okay,
he would go to a hotel and maybe be gone for a week, and we would.
Well, Wendy said they was at a hotel, but keep going.
He was at he would leave. He would never be around me and my children because I wouldn't accept that. And I would beg him to go to a hospital and get help, which he did several times. And when he died, something triggered him, and you never know what somebody's trigger is to want to use again. He was making another album. He was getting his life together. He was recording with James Phillips and James Ingram. He made some new songs. He was going to church.
Did he ever cheat on you? Gone for a week off crack? He could have probably been doing a lot of stuff. Did he ever cheat on you?
Well, honey, that's between him and God, because I don't know.
You don't know.
But
See, so that means you don't know what he could have done. Any man that's leaving a home, getting a hotel, they have that life. I understand you're in this position where you want to protect your kids, but we honestly don't know what that man was doing.
You're right.
He died by the pipe. When
somebody's on drugs, you don't know what they're doing when they're out there on drugs, and that's why you always had to go into a hospital. He didn't come around me and my family, and it is what it is. It's a disease. It's a drug. He had it really bad, and from my understanding, Wendy Williams had it really bad too.
But what made you stay in that situation with a man that's gone for a week doing crack, can't really be there for you and your family? You got a kid. Like, why put yourself? Because many people watching this would say she's victim shaming, but then also she doesn't have a lot of self-confidence because she was with a crackhead that was gone for a week. So how could we, people can look at you and be like, girl, you didn't really care
Lynn,
too much about your kid.
Lynn, you are a former crackhead. That's funny, Clover. You don't know me, darling. I have a clean record. You don't know me like that. So don't make accusations if you don't know me. You can look me up on Twitter and Instagram and whatever. I'm a filmmaker. I'm not an ex-crackhead, period.
Okay.
So
try not to read the comments.
You had a good question. You have a very good question. And the question was, why did I stay with him? We had children. I loved him. He was an amazing man to me. And most of when he went out on those incidents, when he went out was before we were married. When we were married, it didn't happen until he died that he went out and disappeared. It was at the end of his life. So before we were married. But when we got married, he was clean. I wouldn't accept it any other way. He was clean when we were married. He stayed clean through our marriage. And at the end of his life, he went out and destroyed his life. So I was there to support him and love him and raise our children. So it wasn't like it was an ongoing battle while we were married. Most of this happened before we were married. We did have a child. Look like you looking right at me. Look at you. You're so
I'm
handsome.
looking dead at you. Listen, I do this. I'm looking dead at you.
And I'm looking back at you, honey. Because, I wish I didn't have to deal with this, and I wish people wouldn't coming after me for having my own opinion about my own feelings. I have feelings. I'm a woman just like Wendy Williams is a woman. Famous or not famous, honey.
But the people are going to be after you because when we chop this interview up, people are going to be saying that you were trying to put emphasis on the fact that she was a crackhead. Almost like she did crap, so did he. So why is everybody worried about what my husband did? She was a crackhead. It's almost like you were trying to prove that she was a crackhead too.
Well, is it the truth or not?
Well, if she was a crackhead, but what does that have to do with her being raped? Even if you're a crackhead, you still didn't allow you to be raped.
You're right. I agree with you.
If Wendy Williams did crack with your husband,
it doesn't. But the truth is, put two crackheads together, and what's going to happen?
I don't know. I ain't a crackhead, and I never been with one. But
I hear you. But, I'm sure you heard about them because it wasn't a secret in the 80s about people on crack. So, all I can say is let the healing begin. If this makes her heal, that's great. I'm all for people healing.
Okay, let's do this. Let's do this. Wendy Williams will see this video. Mark my words. And I'm going to make sure she sees it. If there is one thing that you could say to Wendy Williams right now, what would you say to her through the screen, like through the audio right now? If Wendy Williams, if you knew that this could get to Wendy right now, what would you say? Wendy Williams, this is Lynn, and Sherrick's wife, and I would say this. What would you say?
I would say...
Say it. Say Wendy Williams. Tell her, Wendy Williams, this is Lynn.
Wendy Williams, this is Lynn. And if that's your truth, I'm so sorry that you were ever taken advantage of, because I am also a survivor. So I'm telling you, I'm telling you that, I'm glad you let it out and let the healing begin. And I also tell you to please keep my children's name out your mouth, because my children are a blessing. They're a blessing. And if you had told this sooner, maybe you could have prevented something else from happening. But your truth is your truth, girl. But don't come after my children, because I'm going to stand by them to the end. My children. Sherrick's children are my children, and they had nothing to do with what happened to you. That's between you and God, girl. So God bless you. Keep on healing yourself, but please have more respect when you talk about people's children.
Thank you. And on that note, Lynn, I want to say thank you for calling in. Thank you for being a trooper. And my platform is open if you ever want to chat, and I will see you on the flip side. And be blessed, okay?
Okay.
Bye.
All right, Mom. Thank you. God bless you. Bye.
Bye.
In the mix.
Who is this freak of nature?
With DJ Armon.
All right, so right there, I'm going to wrap that right there. We may come back.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
We will come back and possibly do an after show, but I need to cut that right there for editing purposes and chopping purposes. But this has been a legendary show. Thank you guys all for listening, watching, and we will be covering this Wendy Williams biopic. We're going to be getting into some things, and I will see you. Make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe, and follow me all over across your social media at the Armon Wiggins Show. And until next time, I will see you. I forgot what I was going to say, but I'll see you soon. All right. Keep that same energy, and I'll see you soon. Bye, y'all.